Pulse 2 was released in 2008, and this is a sequel to the remake, the American remake Pulse, which is a remake of the original Japanese foreign film Pulse. Now, I'm doing a review of the remake trilogy because I said it in my last video. The original one is Japanese, released in 2001, and then they remade Pulse, and then they remade two Dimension Extreme sequels, Pulse 2 and 3, and I'm watching these for the first time, so this is going to be a first time watch and review. I got a lot of things to say on this one. I'll also mention, like I did in the other Pulse video, I'll post the Pulse review down here too, that, the fuck was I going to say about it? That there was also an 80s Pulse, but it has nothing to do with these pulses. So 1988 Pulse, 2001 Japanese Pulse, 2005 or 6 Pulse remake, American remake, and then Pulse 2s and 3s. So there's your history lesson. But continuing, if you've seen the other review, you know what I'm talking about. But this one, see, okay, I didn't even take many notes, but this film feels like a lot of films in one. There's so many things going on with this film. There's so many decisions that I didn't love it. It's fine. Like I'm not getting rid of it, to put it that way. I mean, it was written and directed by the same person, Joel Soisson, and it definitely looks like he put his heart and soul into it. And it has its budget restraints. And that's not a problem. That's never a problem. Just because you have a low budget, it never makes a film an issue. But maybe production interference, or it could be 100,000 different things. But there's a lot going on with this film. So basically, that's my point. We start with this guy wrapping himself up in red tape, because we all know that in the Pulse films, it's about a computer virus. If you've seen the last review, this computer virus is basically acting like a plague and infecting people in a physical form and physical, real world type of situation, like a computer virus, but in reality. So it radiates kind of through all technology, whether it's cell phones, laptops, whatever it may be, video cameras, could be anything. And it's basically physical radiation, essentially. And the only thing that can stop it is red tape. So this guy is literally wrapped in red tape. He looks like the Invisible Man from the 40s, but red instead of white, with the sunglasses and everything. And this guy has sunglasses on, and the frames of the sunglasses are in red tape. And this guy is just he has a red hood, everything. This guy is prepared, okay? And he's just strapping up, red boots, everything. He goes into the apocalyptic world. We have these ghosts sucking energy from, the regular folks and regular people, infecting them with this, physical computer virus that's going throughout the world. And then after that, that's our introduction. And then we're introduced to this woman. Her name is Michelle. She's sitting in front of her computer, and in her apartment, and there's like ash, which is kind of weird because they never introduced the ash thing in the last film, like burnt ashes. It was always like just like a inky kind of like thick, mucusy kind of black tar kind of things that would like infect your body and then kill you, or come out of the walls and pull you into the walls or into the floor, and you would just kind of melt into this like ink, molasses kind of substance. But the ash thing was kind of new. And then she's running frantically. She has a daughter. She's looking for her. She goes into the bedroom, and all there is a pile of ash in her daughter's bedroom with a pair of scissors on top of the ash. And then she's frantically looking for her daughter. She goes outside. It's, again, apocalyptic world, so this is a continuation of the first Pulse. And she runs into a bunch of people. There's this creepy woman on the road. Again, we deal with the people just suffering from this intense, all of a sudden depression, where they just all of a sudden within like 5 hours, just don't want to live anymore. And we do get the metaphor, which is one thing I like about this film, about social media and like how computers can like suck you in and make you depressed, essentially. So we get that in this film again, and it's a good metaphor. She goes to her aunt's house. There's a story with her aunt, which is really depressing. She's all distraught, and she's just can't put sentences together. She's like, she asks, "How are you feeling?" And the aunt is like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't know." But regardless, she's looking for her daughter. She finds her on a swing, or what she thinks is her daughter on a swing, and she goes to talk to her, but the daughter runs off. And we're introduced to the father as well. His name is Stephen, and his character goes into the apartment where the mother had left and looks through her chats on her computer, and apparently she was extremely depressed because they had just split up. There's a ton of chat room messages that were filled with like disturbing stuff, kind of connecting to the last film where people were just committing mass suicide online and in the real world and all that kind of stuff. So he gets massively concerned. Basically, the story goes from there where he takes his daughter and he goes into this remote location where tiny towns are already starting to get the message and get what's going on in the world, and they're shutting down themselves. It's really a disturbing roadblock where he kind of knows everybody, but like in the small town, but everybody is, blockading the road, ready to only allow friends and family and townies into the town, and they're all had their guns drawn and everything. And these people ask this father and daughter to come out of the car. The daughter's name is Justine, by the way, and they have him at gunpoint and everything. They're like, it's just a precaution and all that bullshit. But yeah, it's a heavy-handed scene, and then they're hiding out and they're doing the best they can, and basically we have the back and forth story between the suffering mother who has already turned into a ghost, like she's been captured by the plague or whatnot, and the father trying to care for his daughter with his new live-in girlfriend who is a crazy woman, and just going from there until we get to the end. But it's this film is just the settings, and you can tell a lot of it is filmed like in front of a green screen, and I mean like even outside, like when they're supposed to be like at a gas station, or when they're supposed to be, there's a field, it's all freaking green screen. Like, why couldn't, like, I don't know if they couldn't find locations. It was really, really weird. Obviously they had their settings, like there's a cabin involved in the film. There's an apartment. There's a lot of some, like when they're driving, like when the dad is driving from the big town to the small town, that you can tell is an actual snow environment. But maybe that was it. Maybe it's because they had too many snow environments and not enough, non-snow environments. But there's a lot of like field shots. There's a huge field scene at the end of the film. That, again, a lot of it is just, you can just tell by the color quality, the color palette and the picture quality, that it just doesn't feel natural. It feels like it's being filmed in front of a green screen. But it's a fucking weird film, man. It would be like, it's a pretty good film if it was its own thing. It, as a sequel to Pulse, it kind of works, but this would be a better film if it was its own thing. And I do like Dimension Extreme stuff. Dimension Extreme is what the title says. It's Dimension, the either distribution company or production company, in their extreme line. So you're gonna get horror films with that lean towards the extreme horror kind of things. For example, there's a scene involving the aunt that I was talking about. Her husband, Uncle Peter, is locking himself in a room, just like everybody was in the previous films, and putting the red tape all over the doors and walls, and just being surrounded by just red tape. And he's locking himself in there from his wife because she doesn't trust him anymore, and they both say like, that's not my wife anymore, and the wife is like, or the aunt is like, that's not my husband anymore. And he's just, this is just shock for shock value. Like, the scene doesn't really have any purpose other than grossing you out. He's eating a cat in there, and he's like literally like ripping pieces out of the thing and taking bites out of it and eating it like it's a freaking piece of beef. And he just like, he's like, you can't come in here, you hear me, you can't come in here, and he's just rubbing the cat all over his face. And I'm just like, that's just fucked up, man. And then right after that he's like, oh, I forgot my pills, I don't know where my pills, honey, I'm sorry, can you get my pills back? And it's like, and then he just comes out of the room and dies immediately because the woman is a ghost again. Um, there's inconsistencies in that way. The first film anyway, was a little bit more consistent. I'm just wondering why, some people in this film will die by ash, and why some will melt into that black inkiness that I was talking about. Um, and and why, like, where the ghosts come from, it's kind of explained. They explain it in the sense where when you get caught in this plague, you kind of go into this black, what do they call it, vortex abyss kind of thing, like, um, somewhere disconnected from this world. And when you can grab a chance to come back to this world, um, you take it, but you're not necessarily human, and that's what the mother did. So she comes back to this to the real world, but she's not necessarily human. And there's another gross out scene where she's kind of mutilating herself with a pair of scissors, and nothing's happening to her, kind of thing. But she keeps doing it over and over, and it's just really disturbing, really triggering, probably for if not too many things trigger me personally, but I can tell that scene could be very triggering for certain people. Um, but the ending is I guess okay too. There's a gas station. There's a gas station scene that's cool when the dad runs out of gas and he has to go to this gas station with his daughter to get some gas, and there's the clerk inside, and he's, first of all, he needs to turn on the gas, and the clerk doesn't seem alive or dead. And he just wants to turn on the button, so he kind of like goes around the clerk to try and slowly turn on the gas so he can pour some gas, and then he does so, and the clerk just doesn't move. And he goes back to pump the gas, and he opens the door of the car, and then he closes it, and when he turns around, there's the frickin' attendant. And I'm not gonna lie, that was a pretty good jump scare because of the sound and everything. But then he starts to, like, he's in that depressed mode, as everybody was, because we know that this plague, and the whole point of the movie is this virus that makes people unwilling to live. So he's all just monotone and stuff like that, and wanting to pour the gas. And next thing you know, I'm laughing, but he's pouring gas all over himself and has a lighter in his hand. And it's just like, oh, Jesus Christ, this film goes everywhere. And then the father and daughter decide to like hide in their cars and wrap the whole inside of the car in red tape, because that's the only thing that makes sense in the moment. And it's so hard, him trying to like keep his daughter calm, because she's obviously petrified and terrified. And there's really hard moments like that. And this, like I said, I'm talking about the positives of the film because there is a lot, but man, there's a lot of man. How can I put it? I don't even. I think, see, talking about this film actually makes me like it more, because I was watching it yesterday, and I'm like, oh, this is, I don't know how I feel, but this is going everywhere. We got one thing happening after the other. There's a character, Marta, which is Steven's girlfriend, Steven's new girlfriend, who's just a total, like, loudmouth, like, always talking down to him, loves to drink, loves to fuck, Um, doesn't really. She mentions like, yeah, I understand you were going to rescue your daughter, but what about me? What about me who had to like walk all the way? And it's like, Jesus Christ, if you don't understand that a dad has to go take care of his daughter when he's been dating you for what, 3.5 days. But anyway, um, there's a funny scene with her too involving this when she turns as well, but I won't get into that one. Um, yeah, it's like I said. Talking about this film is actually making me kind of remember it more. It's entertaining, but it's just so freaking weird and so separated. Like it's connected to the first film, but it's so differently feeling and it's so differently directed. It's so weird. Like you wouldn't think that things happen in the film just by looking at the cover. And I'm glad I went into this one blind too, because I'd rather do that than know the whole story going in. Because maybe if I did, I'd probably like it less. So and then we have the final scene in the field, which I was talking about when the little girl is supposed to be sprinting to the bus, because there's this bus that did the same thing, and it's rescuing people. It's also wrapped in red tape and all that, and they're going through a field, and we have an encounter with the ghost mother, which again the CGI effects and digital effects don't look very good, to say the least. But the ending is pretty satisfying with the mother, Michelle, and then the ghost of Marta, who comes also, the ghost of the new girlfriend, and how that whole interaction works, and the way, like, the final moments of the film. I liked how they went for a little bit of humor on that. Um, and the red guy at the beginning. I will finish off with the red guy at the beginning. He does come back in the middle of the film, and he's this like massive computer wizard that is like never leaves his apartment, and he has an idea how to finish this whole thing. And he gets a whole, like, he basically takes the father hostage in his car and holds him at gunpoint and makes the father drive to um, like an electronics store to pick up a microprocessor of some kind. And he makes the father drive, and he says, if you go pick up this microprocessor, then I'm done. Like, just because I don't, because he says he doesn't drive, and the father's like, you want to save the world, but you don't have a car? And he's like, no, I never driven in my life. Whatever. Not everybody drives, so. But he holds him at gunpoint, and again, this is a guy that's like prepared. He's covered in red and everything, and then he gets to um, the electronics store, and he's like, no, I'm not going, like the red guy, no, I'm not going in, you're going in, you're gonna go get the microprocessor. And the dad is like, the fuck, like, and then he actually does, and he goes into the warehouse, and he has to deal with the plagues and the ghosts and all this shit that's going on. But what the fuck, like, at the beginning of the film you were like head to toe prepared like a fucking soldier, and I don't get it. I like, what's the point of you doing you're the most prepared for this situation, and you're the one who wants the damn thing in the first place. So I already drove your ass here, and you're the most protected, you're the most safe, but you're gonna make this guy who has not a single piece of red on him go to get your shit. That's Pulse 2. It was fun. It was fun. It was like, yeah, it's so strange. Maybe I'll have to give it another watch. But like I said yesterday, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it kind of sucked. But you know, I still thought it was kind of fun. But talking about it, I think it's kind of really fun. So I just hate that whole green screen stuff, and just cheap sets. Like, again, budget is probably the thing, but like the sets just feel so meh. And it's just, you can tell it's fake. Like, it's almost like they might as well have just made it an animated movie or something like that, or just go shoot outside. You know, like, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know what's harder because like I'm not too familiar with what's more expensive, what's harder to do and to light and to all that between a green screen versus an actual location. But yeah, I guess if it's all green screen, you can do it all in one place. Maybe that's why they went that direction. But I don't know. I'm a reviewer. I know a little bit about filmmaking, but I mostly like to talk about films, and that's what I like to do. Not a critic, but a reviewer. That's how I describe myself. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for that. And if you're interested, keep coming back. Take care and cheers.